Hello and welcome to Money Matters. Since the arrival of COVID-19, an industry has grown to supply us with face masks, hand sanitizers, PPEs, and essential consumer products. These items have become household necessities, along with toothpaste and toilet paper. Zella Chin reports on who started these businesses and how well they have done in keeping us safe from COVID.
We moved in approximately a year ago.
A serial entrepreneur, Danny Young, started this DNA testing company in Hong Kong in 2014.
We want to create the world's first end-to-end health ecosystem. So from the moment that you're born until the moment you pass away, we'll have testing and services for you.
When COVID-19 struck in early 2020, he was able to quickly pivot and offer coronavirus testing services.
In May of 2020, we were awarded a big contract by the UK's Premier League in testing all the 20 clubs, their staff, all the players, of course. In July of 2020, Prenetics was also the first private laboratory in Hong Kong to be appointed by the Hong Kong government for mass community testing. And we started out, we actually tested roughly 16,000 restaurants and 300,000 restaurant workers. And now to date, 2 years later, looking back, it's been a crazy journey. We've now processed more than 23 million tests globally.
His company provides PCR testing services at the Hong Kong government testing centers, the airport and quarantine hotels. At the peak of the fifth wave earlier this year, the company processed 40,000 PCR tests daily. Now it averages about 15,000 tests a day.
So Danny, rat tests are very common these days, and you also launched your own product, right?
Yes, so rat common is very, very important, whether at the workplace or just to see friends and families as a peace of mind. So we launched our own rat testing earlier this year. It's also approved by Hong Kong government. Do a nasal swab, in a few minutes you'll be able to get the results and off you go.
More premises in Hong Kong, such as schools, bars, and some workplaces, require people to provide proof of not having coronavirus with the negative rat test. So the demand for tests is surging. Danny sold more than 10 million rat tests so far.
Every morning, I need to put on a face mask. Check that I have my hand sanitizer in my bag, and take a rat test before I go to work. We all need to buy a lot more daily necessities to go about our normal lives since the pandemic began. How much money are the sellers of these COVID-related products making? Actually, quite a lot. Congratulations to our...
In May, Prenetics listed on the Nasdaq with a valuation of $1.25 billion US dollars. It had generated $275 million US dollars in revenues with an adjusted EBITDA of $41 million US dollars in 2021 because of the strength of its COVID testing services. And the homegrown company raised $170 million US dollars in the listing.
We have 260 mil USD worth of cash, zero debt, and then what we intend to do with that is make acquisitions that can further continue our growth on a global scale. In the UK, Southeast Asia.
The household necessities is actually what keep benefiting from.
Herbert Yum is the head of research at a market intelligence provider. His team has been studying the personal hygiene products which are in high demand because of the pandemic.
There's two iconic products that market size has been insignificant before the COVID period, but it has grown to be a very significant market, especially in Hong Kong during the pandemic time. The first one going to be the face mask, and the second one is the hand sanitizer. People are more aware of the personal hygiene and the hygiene level in household because they want to prevent their family members to getting unwanted disease such as the COVID-19 disease.
We went from producing the original blue mask, which we made a name for ourselves by selling it for $1.95, and then we switched.
Remember those at the beginning of the pandemic.
And then to suit more personal needs, we started making a lot more colored masks, such as the avocado green. I think it goes really well with a lot of accessories.
Camouflage.
Yes. In 2022, we're venturing into KF94 mask, just because the market trend is going that way, and a lot of our customers are asking for KF94 masks.
Nicholas's father and 4 other founders invested millions of dollars to start a mask factory in February 2020.
There was a real genuine need from the society to buy masks. People were queuing up and they were paying a fortune for masks that are of poor quality. So they all have that case of industry experience. One of them is in charge of non-woven material. My family is in charge of designing the initial mask machines that produce the mask.
They rented factory space at Hong Kong Science Park, which provided administrative and logistical support, such as help with building a clean room. The company produced about 200,000 to 300,000 masks per day in April 2020. This summer, the company is expanding to this larger Science Park location.
So our founders feel like they have the social responsibility to ensure that Hong Kong has a strategic supply of PPE locally, and that's why we've invested in relocating our factory into the new premises with a larger floor area for expansion of new products as well.
It's upgraded the machines to streamline operations. This machine requires only 2 staff to monitor the quality control of the masks.
We have invested in automatic packing machines that really help cut down on the staff cost.
Back in 2020, the staff used to manually insert the face masks into the plastic packaging. Nicholas says streamlining costs helps a company to stay competitive in a crowded industry. Plus, the mask maker aims to be financially sustainable.
You started to see a lot of mergers and acquisitions as people who perhaps went into the business for profit didn't find it viable to continue their operations. We saw that the consumers are becoming very educated on PPE, so they know their standards and they have a lot more choices.
Before the pandemic, the market for face masks was insignificant. It jumped to 240 million Hong Kong dollars in sales in 2020, continued to grow in 2021, and it's projected to drop slightly to 320 million Hong Kong dollars in 2022.
Many businesses in Hong Kong already provide face masks in their stores or in their online shops. So people can easily purchase face masks. They don't need to stock up. And that's why we expect the face mask market will start to decline starting from 2022.
You can smell the cat.
Over in Sheungwan, Cat Lai is teaching these students to make DIY hand sanitizer. This class was very popular at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020.
So I think early stage people were very difficult in buying any kind of sanitizing product, so you want to make it yourself.
The aromatherapy consultant also produced 1,000 bottles of hand sanitizers to sell to her customers. But Kat had difficulty sourcing ingredients.
So we don't have the raw material. At the time, everyone wants it. Once we have the raw material, everyone have it, then the market becomes very competitive. We give away our hand sanitizer to our customer at the time.
The demand for hand sanitizers in Hong Kong jumped from about 14 million Hong Kong dollars in sales in 2019 to 77 million Hong Kong dollars in 2020. It declined sharply in 2021 and expected to decline in 2022.
In 2020, many family and households already stocked enough amount of hand sanitizer to sustain their usage for like 3 months or even 6 months. So they don't really need to buy that much hand sanitizer in subsequent years. And also there are lots of substitutes that can replace hand sanitizer.
With the demand for hand sanitizers falling, the 25-year business veteran created new COVID-related products which are rare in the market.
So the patch is very simple, so maybe I can give you one. You can stick it around your clothes.
So it's like lavender.
Yes, lavender and orange, and then it's also with the patent solution with the university from Hong Kong with the Chinese medicine. So the Chinese medicine with essential oil, they are all natural. They can prevent the COVID go inside the body. Just like we have a very good like a fire prevention door. So people, they put it in the clothes and then also put it in the mask. So when you are smelling it, so you feel more relaxed, and then also like
you get rid of bad breath.
Yes, exactly. So because you have no choice, you need to wear the mask.
In 2021, 80% of our income was from the patches. The researcher expects the market for COVID-related consumer products would be more competitive in the future.
If we remember like the SARS happened in 2003, even after a decade, the overall personal hygiene level of Hong Kong people has increased. And I believe this will happen again, even the COVID-19 pandemic will end soon, okay? So I would say it will once again trigger the overall hygiene level of Hong Kong consumers, and as well as the awareness.
Coming up on Money Matters, how robots impact our daily lives and what else these machines are capable of. Stay with us. Welcome back to Money Matters. Researchers in Hong Kong are developing a robot made of slime that could help surgeons access hard-to-reach places inside our bodies. Douglas George reports that robots are increasingly doing things we cannot do, or things that are too dangerous for us to do. Though more research needs to be done, the slime robot is one of many examples where robotics will one day become commonplace in human life.
This engineering student at the Chinese University of Hong Kong is mixing together black slimy components that one day could be used to go inside the human body and be controlled with magnetic force. A video shows how the slime robot navigates narrow and winding passages, grasping and moving objects when it's manipulated by magnets. The university's Medical Robotics Center is developing the magnetic slime robot in the center's hybrid operation room, dedicated to R&D and the preclinical evaluation of new surgical robots. The head of the project says the idea came to them out of simple curiosity.
The student saw some interesting video in the internet, kids play with the slime, which you can buy from the market. Then we start to think, if we add some magnetic material into the slime, then how much we can do the remote control, and whether we can use it, as a remotely actuated robotic hand, in the human body or not. Yeah, so this is the beginning of the research.
The gooey mess is made by mixing magnetic particles and borax, a substance used to make slimy toys for children, with polyvinyl alcohol. The substance can be manipulated with surprising dexterity and through tight places.
This magnetic-controlled slime robot has a great potential, especially reaching within the body component where the surgeon's hand cannot be reached. For example, in the gastrointestinal tract, that can actually be able to remove foreign body or even pathological diseases like stones that cause an obstruction over a GI tract like bile duct. Within the bile duct, you can actually remove those stones without any hand intervention.
The catch is the technology is so new, the magnetic particles are toxic. Researchers hope to develop a protective cast to make it safe to use in the human body. The robot can stretch more than 7 times its original length and extend to grasp objects. But Professor Zhang admits the substance still has numerous limitations before it can be deployed in the operating room.
Although we call it robot, slime robot, but currently there's no autonomous control, There's no autonomous motion, and there's no intelligence either. So we need to think about, how to realize, those functions, and whether we can provide some intelligence, to the robot. That means when, the robot is deployed in your body, it can judge, can make a decision by itself in certain situations, or maybe under the supervision of a surgeon.
The slime robot is still under development, but could bring promising advances to the medical sector. Robots often are made as reflections of humanity, but in Italy, the robots are creating our reflections in sculpture. Michelangelo's David was crafted from marble, by hand, quarried off the Tuscan coast. Now that same marble is being precision sculpted by robots, using sophisticated software to produce new artworks. The software controlling the robot's every movement has taken years to develop. The robot produces pieces that once might have taken a sculptor years to complete, and which can now be done in days. It begs the question, has humanity surrendered the creative process to our mechanical cousins? Have they become our creative rivals? The founder of the company making the sculpture says,
A robot is a modern machine, and everything modern instills fear. Artisans who have not yet embraced this technology are wary, with the fear that their jobs or work will be stolen, but after an initial approach they understand the potential. They begin to use it and their life changes because they can work more, they can work better. Technology allows them to watch a sunset while a machine does the work.
in the Tuscan town of Carrara, where marble is quarried into massive blocks every day, opinion is divided about bringing technology into the creative process. Inside a large workshop in the center of town, artisan Diego is not convinced by the use of robots to create works of art.
La scultura finta da robot è una scultura morta.
A sculpture carved by a robot is a dead sculpture. One carved by an artisan is a living sculpture. A fresh sculpture, a real sculpture. For me, a sculpture cannot be made by a robot because it has to be done by hand. It is something which has to be done together by the artisan and the artist. There has to be a symbiosis.
Those who have embraced the technology see robots as just a newer version of the artisan's chisel. Academics say what is new is the integration of the whole process, from the design of the object to the programming of the robot to the choice of the proper tools. These are just too many advantages to make robots go away. 700 kilometers south of Carrara, a new four-legged helper roams the ruins of the ancient city of Pompeii. Meet Spot. This robot dog is capable of slipping into cramped and unsafe spaces, acquiring and recording useful data. Spot is a yellow and black robot with a 360-degree camera in place of a head. Combined with a laser scanner, the four-legged robot can capture the geometry of the site, manage itself through difficult places, and overcome major obstacles. At the moment, Spot's laser scanner helps monitor tunnels used by modern grave robbers, intent on stealing the ancient city's artifacts, buried by the eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD. Accompanying Spot on its test mission is a drone, or the first flying laser scanner capable of autonomous 3D scanning. The main innovation here is its autonomy, planning operations, managing an entire flight by itself. A game of fetch will never be played the same again. Down under, at the University of Technology, Sydney, scientists use a massive robot to find materials that could help solve the Earth's global warming crisis. The robot's size matches its challenge, saving the planet from climate change. Its job is to scan samples of algae and analyze their properties free of human intervention. The organisms known as superalgae are plucked from their test tubes by a robot arm. Some of the tiny aquatic plants get rid of carbon from the atmosphere up to 40 times more efficiently than trees. Scientists say they can also be used in industry. Professor Peter Ralph specializes in algae biosystems and biotechnology. He's trying to find the best algae to transform into usable materials for textiles, the food industry, and building materials. The CO2 absorbed by the plants will be trapped inside the products for many years.
We've got 10 years to decarbonise all of the industries to stay under 1.5 degrees. What we've got to move away from is seeing carbon as being a product that we can take out of the ground. We have got so much of it in the atmosphere. We need to be taking it out of the atmosphere, building products. We can stick it into wall panels, we can stick it into carpet, we can stick it into all these different structures that keep the atmospheric CO2 out of the atmosphere for decades. That's what the future is. And we don't have to compete with forests and other ways that we're going to be storing carbon. We need this on top of forestry.
The robot works with Photon Systems instruments to find the right superalgae. Where before it took about 6 months of manual work to pick out the features of one single strain of promising algae, the robot takes just 1 week.
What this robot here does behind us is it does the work of 20 scientists in a single year. It enables us to accelerate discovery, it enables us to reduce the costs of operations, and most importantly, it shifts the scientist's focus from doing low-level type work to high-level creative scientific work.
Eliminating those human mistakes, robots will bring these plants into wider spread commercial use sooner, so they can make a major difference to climate change. Horticulture has been upended, or rather gone vertical, with new tech solutions on show in the Netherlands. Another indoor growth technology uses special lighting to get flowers to bloom. This is Green Tech, a show which has new solutions for people in the plant industry. It's appropriate that when it comes to what's new in the world of horticulture, people come here to Amsterdam, the city which made tulips famous. But it's not just about the flowers. Dutch company Createch is presenting a new vertical solution for warehousing plants. Senior engineer Wouter Verhoff says this space-saving vertical growing is a big trend in the horticultural industry.
We use our experience from indoor growing to now also go vertical, and that's a trend that's really active right now.
Another important element for successful greenhouse farming is the optimal use of light. This is especially important for vertical farming. Signify has a new wise control solution. It says schedules a lighting program for each crop, from seed to harvest.
For vertical farming, it's of course important to have the right lights, to have good light intensity, to have the light, we call it the light recipe actually, so it is the color combination that a particular crop really likes. And what we found over the years in our own facility, GrowWise in Eindhoven, is that for each and every crop, the combination of red, blue, far red light can be optimized to come to the maximum kilograms per square meter.
The flowering of new tech is always welcome.
Next time on Money Matters, a look at the impact of restricted travel on Hong Kong's tourism spots. See you then. Good night.